Yeah.
There's a bunch of samples out there for you guys. Afterwards, you wanna? Which one are you ready?
Well, I'll hand them out. I'll let you start.
Okay. 16. So good.
All right, guys, we're going to get started. Thank you all for coming on behalf of the Wellness Committee. Today we have Amos with us, and he is going to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about how we can better take care of ourselves to live our best lives, and then talk a little bit about what he does as well at the end. So go ahead, I'll turn it over.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming, for signing up for this, even though you didn't even know who I was probably.
Some of us know you.
Some of you, yeah. But I'm a health and life coach, and the main reason I chose to do that, basically, is because I grew up with my dad, who was a pastor. Both my brothers are pastors as well, and my grandpa. But I've always been in that environment where there's counseling, and you're really helping people to be their best, you're shepherding them, and I love that environment. I'm kind of addicted to deep conversation and deep connections with people, and that's what I really care about. I mean, by show of hands, how many of you have really had a deep conversation in the last 24 hours? As in, you're talking to someone about just them, not like struggles, complaints, things happening with their kids, but like who they are, what they love, what they're challenged with. No? What about 48 hours? Last 48 hours? Okay. That's something that I want to change. That's something that I want to shift, is to having that deep conversation and connection with people, because that's what really makes you feel fulfilled. So that's kind of why I got pulled into this this career. I also used to be a manager at 9 Rounds, so I've always been in fitness, but I realized that there was so much more that I could do, so much more that people were struggling with. And it's these deep conversations that kind of made this talk happen. So its title is Self-Care Selfish. Before I get into that, if you have your sheets, do you all have pens?
No,
I can go grab some. I'll go grab some.
Okay, but I want you to start writing down your top 5 priorities. And this isn't something you're going to have to share with me or anyone else, but yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, top 5 priorities. So this could be family, friends, kids, success, money, spouse, pets. Yeah, top 5 priorities. The main reason I have you write these down is for 2 reasons. One is to get clear as to what those actually are. It's not something we usually think about, where we're actually writing down our top 5 priorities. And then I want you to kind of be aware as we talk, kind of reflect on your day, and your week, your month. Do you actually put attention into these priorities? Do your activities throughout the day, throughout the week and month, do they actually line up with what you're writing down for your top 5 priorities? So just be aware of that. And then I'm also curious to see whether anything changes or shifts, or if you would change that list as we go through this talk and workshop together. So that's why we're writing those down. You don't have to share them with me. But like I said, I made this talk because of some deep conversations and connections that I've made. Mainly with this one gentleman that I've been working with for the past few months. Met him about 3 months ago, and I met him at a time where he was depressed, he had self-hatred, he's in a rut, he's not doing anything for himself, he hates his job. And when I find people like this, when we talk to them, you really get to know them. You really find out where they're from, where they're coming from, because a lot of that influences what we do today. So as I'm getting to know him better, he talks about his dad a lot, and his dad was a principal. His dad was a principal at a school, and as a principal, if you kind of know teachers and pastors and principals, they are workaholics. They're always at school. This guy's waking up at 4 a.m., getting home at 8 p.m., always putting everyone else's needs ahead of his own. And he's volunteering for every single event. He's coaching. He's always at school. He's not really spending time with his family. And so he grows up seeing this and not being upset about it. He admires it about his dad. He admires that he's a servant and he's given all his time to other people. Okay, Okay, and then fast forward a little bit, he's just about to go to high school, and then this starts showing up in the way that he's thinking and the way he's making decisions, where his parents are like, hey, we want to send you to boarding school. What do you think? This is what we want. And he did not want it at all. He really did not want to go to boarding school, be sent away from home, but he kept his mouth shut because it's not what he wants, it's what other people want. Always put other people's thoughts and feelings and everything ahead of your own. So, emulating his dad, he was okay with that decision, went to high school, and then through preparatory college, and then followed in his dad's footsteps and became a teacher. So again, I'm finding all this stuff out about him, his past. He gets his first call, and then he's doing the exact same thing as his dad. He's super overworked. He's doing it to himself. He's a workaholic. He volunteers for every event. He coaches different things. He's giving all his time to the kids, to the parents, to other coworkers, to all his friends, and he forgets about himself. And so he lasts about 2 years in this first job, and then he gets another job as a teacher because he was just overwhelmed. Same thing happens, another 2 years, and then he just quits. He burns out, totally done. He says, I can't do this anymore. I never give time to myself. I hate myself. And this is where we met, just a couple years later, actually. But you can hear it in his voice, this self-hatred, this self-doubt, and not doing anything for himself. And so I want to bring you to one specific conversation that I had with him on the phone. And he lives in Arizona, so we do phone calls, long conversations, and then again, you can hear this coming out with everything he's saying, the beliefs about himself. He says, it's impossible for me to get what I want. That's just for people that are lucky, or coincidence. Why would I ever do anything for myself? I never have, and that's not right. My dad didn't teach me that way. And so about an hour goes in, we're really struggling back and forth with these things, and it gets quiet for a minute, and then you finally hear this, I finally learn the severity of this, and he says, I've been thinking about suicide, because he has no purpose anymore. So that's hard to hear, and what do you do? How do you show someone that they are worth it, and they're worth the time and effort to give to themselves if they've never believed that, if they've never thought that, and they've never done that their entire life? Well, the only way is to show them, is to prove to them why it's so important, and then how to do it step by step. Show them what happens when you start doing that, and then give them the support and accountability to make it happen. So today I have the pleasure of kind of showing you that process, showing you over the next, I'll try to make it a little quicker, I'm talking faster for you, but maybe 40 minutes, how to let other people's thoughts motivate you instead of holding you back. Fear of what other people would think of you. Also, how to find out where you need attention in your life right now, yours specifically, because I can give you all the examples, but they might apply, they might not, has to be specific to you. And then how to shift your mindset to be open to more, how to start changing these beliefs, because if the belief is there and it's not changed, you're never going to make progress. And then how to actually take action, because I can talk to you all day, but if you're not writing stuff down, you're not applying it to yourself today, then it's in one ear, out the other ear. There's no point for me being here. So, okay. Before I do that, I'm going to ask Cindy to come up here.
Oh boy.
And
you didn't tell me we were going to do this.
I'm going to have Cindy, she just did yoga for the first time, so maybe this will be a first for her too. Cindy, I want you to do this. At least try to do that.
Oh my goodness.
One minute, guys.
That was good, Cindy.
Is that enough?
That's enough.
Am I close enough?
No,
I don't want to hurt
incredible.
myself or
That's
you.
incredible. That's
Is that
all
all?
I need from
She
you.
just
Yeah.
went for it. I love it.
What kind of thoughts were going through your head when I asked you to do that?
There's no way.
Okay.
I'm not going to do that.
No way, but you still did it anyway. What did you think that everyone would think of you if you did or didn't do it?
Well, if I would have done that, they would have been truly impressed because
Yeah.
I think we all. But I didn't really think about what, I don't know.
We're all friends here.
No, that's awesome.
Everyone here's really nice. Except for you. I don't know you. Are you nice?
Oh,
Yes.
Andrew, nice to meet you.
So let me ask that. What do you think Andrew was thinking or myself?
thought I was not going to be able to do that.
Okay, that's a good example. So that's great that you're friends, and that's great that you're willing to do that. Last time I asked someone to do that, she was like, no way, absolutely not. I'm not doing that in front of people because I don't want to embarrass myself. You're probably thinking, there's no way she's going to do that, you know, and I'm going to laugh. And is it true then that so fantastic job for trying to, that is very impressive. And I have the same, I'm sure they have the same thoughts, and I have the same thought as well, where just when you try that, that's impressive. You know, it takes bravery to do that in front of people, even if it is friends. Maybe in front of Andrew and me, you don't really know us that well.
We're realtors, you got it. We put ourselves out there.
But that's great. I mean, I thought that was impressive. They're probably happy that they didn't have to do that, so they're thankful to you.
Well, and I would tell you, if I was not part of putting this on, I probably would not have done that.
Why wouldn't you?
I was trying to help you.
Doing it for someone else, right? Yeah. Good, I appreciate that. But is it true then that we change our actions, or we change what we do and don't do based on what other people think of us, or what we think they're thinking of us? I'll apply it to myself. If I were to come in here and start assuming that you're thinking things of me like, wasn't this guy kind of young to be a health and life coach? What the heck does a guy know about what's going on in a woman's mind? Then, you know, if I let myself think thoughts like that, then why the heck would I come? It would have been really difficult to be here and to speak to you. Like, why would I do it? It'd be embarrassing to me. So that's how thoughts are always creating our actions. This is something that we can't really change unless you don't think about it. So to some extent you can, but I don't want to change that. This is something that naturally happens, but I want to use the same process of letting other people's thoughts and feelings motivate you or make you not take action. I want to use that to motivate you. Let other people's thoughts and feelings motivate you instead of holding you back and making you not step out of your comfort zone and move forward, okay? I'm going to start showing you how to do that with another story. So I used to be, like I said, the manager at 9 Round Kickboxing Club. And let me take you to one of the scenarios. So if you've never been there, kickboxing, there's bags everywhere, people are punching, kick, and people are sweating, it's hot in there, the music is pumping, it's high intensity, high excitement, and I'm yelling, and then I see someone walk in. So I run over, as I usually do, I introduce myself, and I say, hey, how's it going? I'm Amos. Very nice to meet you. What's your name? Rachel. Hey, Rachel. Have you ever been to 9 Round before? No. Have you ever done kickboxing? No. Okay, that's totally fine. I just want to know why you're here. What are some of the goals you're looking to achieve? Why'd you walk through that door? This is important. And she says, well, I want to be healthier and feel better. So let me pause right there. I could stop and I could say, great, let's get you going. But how many of you think that Rachel is going to be able to follow through and consistently exercise based on those goals and motivators? Show of hands, no. Yeah. It's almost 100% no, because that's where we stop. That's where we build our goals. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Okay, Rachel, if you were healthier and better, like, what does that look like? What does that feel like? What do you mean? She says, I feel more confident and energetic. Okay, great. And if you were confident and energetic, what would that do for you? Why do you want those things? She says, you know, if I was more confident and energetic, then I'd play with my kids more when I get home. I'd actually want to talk to my husband when I get home. My work would go better because I'd have more energy, I'd talk to more people. And I say, wow, that's awesome. Now what would be the best part of that though? And she says, the best part would be my husband would love me more, we'd have a deeper connection because I feel like we've been growing apart. My kids would look up to me because I'm healthier and I'm always playing with them. And my friends would be proud of me. They'd want to be around me because I just have all this energy and positivity. And then my boss would be happy because I'm making money. I'm doing really great, bringing in clients. Okay. Did you catch all that? I'm just going to say it once more without the extra stuff. So Rachel, why are you here today? What are your goals? Why did you come in to 9 Round? She says, well, I want to have more confidence and energy so that I play with my kids when I get home. I talk to my husband more and have a deeper relationship. I do better at work, and I go out with friends when they ask me, which makes my friends proud of me and want to be around me. It makes my husband love me more, and we have a deeper relationship, and he's proud of me. My boss is psyched that I'm bringing in more clients, and my kids look up to me. Okay, those are good motivators. So using the second part of your handout now, I want you to apply this to yourself. I have some specific questions there. Let's just go through them together. So, what would happen to my relationships with friends and family if I were emotionally and physically healthy and energetic? So maybe you don't have a husband and kids, but what do those relationships look like with your friends or your grandma? And then same thing with Rachel, don't just say better. They get better. Actually explain it. What does that look like? What does that feel like? What's happening? So who wants to answer that one? I'll take one answer for each of these.
I probably have just more energy around the relationships versus like having a feeling of lack towards them. Like if you're not connecting, then I feel like you're always longing for that, or you're always wishing you'd spend more time with certain people, and it just kind of starts to stress you out that you don't take the time for it. So I feel like if I did have that more, then it would just be energy producing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you get a lot out of it, you feel more fulfilled with the relationships,
Yes,
not much
fulfilled
stress.
instead of like lacking.
And then what about them? What happens with those relationships for them? What do they gain? You did mention the word connect.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like the human connection piece just inspires people. It helps them uncover their own goals, because you can't do that alone. So I think the deeper conversations like you talked about earlier would actually happen, and then I think people become more self-aware when they can have the close connection and the good emotional relationships or whatever. So I think you just start to personally get better when you have those.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're realizing that you wouldn't necessarily be the only one benefiting from that. You'd be inspiring others to also benefit in the same way, deep connection and setting goals for themselves. Awesome, great example, thank you. Second one, what would work be like? If I were energetic and happy, my body felt great, and my relationships were getting attention. Who wants to answer that one?
I probably speak for all of us in saying that when our emotional health is low, it impacts our work, because we set our schedules. So if I'm not feeling confident in myself, or I'm not feeling emotionally at my best, I want to, I'm sleeping in, or I'm going to go home early this afternoon and take a nap, or we have the ability to do things that most people in general jobs don't.
Yeah.
So if my emotional confidence is higher, I'm more connected at work with my people, but I'm also more connected with my clients, which means I'm calling them, showing up and doing the things that I should do, which means more money. So
Awesome. More connection with clients, more connection at work with your coworkers, more money, more success. Awesome.
It can be more confidence, less stress.
What would that do for you?
I think we would all accomplish more if we're less stressed out, because you just mentally get bogged down, and that just kind of leads to like physically feeling exhausted. So yeah, if you're energetic and happy, or felt great about your physical fitness or whatever, then you just probably will accomplish more overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting things done, accomplishing more. Very important. Thank you. Third one, what would happen to my intimacy with a spouse or partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, if I were taking care of myself and we were able to be fully attentive to each other, which doesn't mean sitting next to each other, having popcorn, watching Netflix. It means looking into their eyes. So this, I just talked to someone yesterday about this, someone I get to work with. I said to her, as an action step, I want you to sit down with your husband, set aside 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, to sit down across from him, look at him in the eyes, and then ask him some of these deep questions that I sent her. Like, what are you being challenged with? How are you dealing with your stress? What inspires you? Where do you find joy in your life right now? What are things that I could do to love you better? And she says, oh, I don't know if I can do that. He's not going to say yes. There's no way he wants to do that. He would say, why the heck are we sitting down? Why are you setting aside a time for us to talk to each other? And even not looking them in the eyes. She says, we haven't done that in years. It's hard. People won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why walks are nice, because you walk next to each other. You don't necessarily have to look eye to eye, but there's something about that is good. Anyone got anything for that one? Who has a spouse or a boyfriend or? All right. Who wants to do it?
I would say for me, just so there'd be more of a connection at home because there would be probably more dialogue. Because I would want to share more with my husband if I were not feeling so bogged down with all the other stuff. So for me, that would be additional support. Like, my husband's very supportive, but I don't feel necessarily that he is. I know that he is. So it would be having that feeling of the support. And so then there's going to be that, that connection seems to keep coming up on my answers, but that understanding where, I mean, we leave in the morning and we're not really sure when we're going to come home that night sometimes. And so, so just knowing that I don't have to feel guilty about that sometimes because he understands it because we've talked about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Because we don't talk like you just talked about.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing. And the last question is really important to all of these. So a lot of us, again, hold ourselves back based on what we think other people are thinking of us or feeling towards us. But what would people actually be thinking about you, realistically be thinking about you, if you were to start prioritizing yourself? To make sure that you felt healthy, cared for, energetic, connected. What would they actually be thinking about you? Because I know a lot of people, like the lady I just mentioned, they're going to sit there and say, no, my husband would never want to do that for me. He would think that's stupid. And so she doesn't set it up and she doesn't do it. Would your husband or your boyfriend actually care? Would they want to listen to you? Would they want to support you? Would they like to see you healthy and energetic? Would they like to see that carrying over into every area of your life? I guess we can just do... I'll get an answer for that one too. What would they realistically be thinking, in a sentence?
I think you influence others to take better care of themselves when you are around people that you see make themselves a priority.
Mm-hmm.
So they would see in you that they want to be more like that. So I think everybody that has families and jobs or whatever it might be struggles with that a little bit. So for me personally, I just said they would see me more energized, less rushed, and just someone that actually goes after her goals versus someone that always pushes them aside.
And then that specifically inspires them in your scenario?
Yeah.
Cindy, do you think your husband would support you if you talked about things the struggles and challenges that you're having?
I think he'd be grateful if I did. Not just supportive, but grateful.
That's a good word. Great. So, this is the first part, changing this mentality, changing these beliefs that we have set up for ourselves. Okay, and I have a specific example of someone who actually transformed her life. So that conversation with Rachel, while I did have that conversation over and over again with a ton of different people, not only with Rachel, it's good to hear a specific quote, testimonial from someone who's actually gone through this and how that shift in prioritization changed her life. Okay? This is a wonderful woman, and you wouldn't have known that she never showed that she was upset, depressed, had that self-hatred, that she couldn't say I love you to herself. She never showed that. You know, people are really good at hiding it. Without that deep conversation, they have no way to tell anyone. They have no outlet. And so, super happy lady, but this is what she figured out after transforming her life. So I asked her, how did you usually feel day to day before you started prioritizing yourself? And here's what she said. She said, I was exhausted, I wasn't happy, I reacted to most things in a negative way, I didn't want to spend time with people, I was not confident in myself, my actions, or my life direction, I had lower back pain almost every morning, I had knee and hip pain, every day was painful, I put everyone else's needs ahead of my needs, I always agreed to help or get some tasks done instead of paying attention to myself. I sometimes avoided things due to being so tired. I spent a lot of time sitting on the couch. Even hanging with my family, I found myself asking my nephews and niece to do simple tasks for me so that I didn't have to get up. I dealt with life through eating and drinking. And thinking back, I don't think I was truly enjoying my life. I was just going through the motions. Okay, this was behind that face that she had. That sarcasm, that humor, that joy that seemed to come out through her work, that's what was really going on. And so when she started prioritizing herself, things changed dramatically. So I asked her the same question. How do you feel day to day right now after prioritizing yourself? This is about a year and 3 months later. She says, I walk into a room with my shoulders back and my head held high. I spent the last 14 months focusing on my physical, mental, and emotional health. I am much more confident in myself and proud of who I am. I am much more positive, and people want to be around me. I have a lot more energy. I look forward to getting up each morning. I enjoy going to work, and I've improved at it. I'm not pushing tasks off to others. I am much happier and gracious with patients and staff. My patients have definitely taken notice, and they ask me for help and suggestions on what they can do to make small changes in their lives. But she never planned for that. This was for herself, and like you said, it influences other people's goals and inspires them. Really cool. I'm excited to go do things again with my friends. I don't have time to sit around anymore. I'm not as annoyed with my family, which is funny. I am much more active with my nephews and niece and more present with my friends and family. There's a lot more laughter and lightheartedness that definitely was missing. So, awesome, awesome story. And she's influencing so many people now and inspiring them. And all the things that they're thinking about her, they're not like, oh, you can't come out to the restaurant because you're going for a run. They're thinking, holy smokes, this lady is kicking butt and changing her life. She's a rock star, she's happy, she's joyful. I'm so inspired, I gotta start doing something for myself. That's the kind of stuff they're thinking about her. But this example, it's mostly related to, I know this is like a health day, it's mostly related to fitness and health and food. It's a lot of things that a lot of people struggle with, but this is one of the reasons that I became a health and life coach, is because I tried all the fitness jobs, personal trainer, strength conditioning coach, gym manager, and I couldn't actually create change in people's lives. All the change that happens in people's lives is focusing on every area, because everything in your health is connected. If you're having a terrible relationship at home, that stress is gonna destroy your body. You're gonna gain weight, doesn't matter if you're exercising, you're still gonna feel depressed, feel sad, not be able to sleep at night, gain weight, like I said. And so when you look at health, you have to look at every area of your life, because one area is always going to influence another area. So the next handout is how we can start looking at that specifically for you, because this is her example. Again, it was health and fitness for her, but for someone else, you could be the most fit person ever and also the most depressed person ever. You got to figure out where that's coming from. Okay? So the Wheel of Life, the way to do this is one of my favorite exercises, because a lot of people know how it's going to look before they even do it. You're going to make a dot closer to the middle if you're unsatisfied and you're not giving enough attention to that area on that spoke. You'll make a dot. Further to the outside means you are giving that area attention and you are satisfied with how much you have. And then when you're done, you can connect all the dots. That way you can see what your wheel actually looks like. I'm doing mine right now too. Sweet. So how many of you, if you put that wheel on your car or a unicycle, would be able to just roll down the street and have fun? Not many of us. I mean, even with mine, like, there's always room for growth. Things are always changing, it's malleable, but I can always bump out every area of my life. So looking at yours specifically, not mine, write down the lowest area on there. In that first question, what is the low area on your wheel? There can be two, but pick the one that really stands out to you as something you want to work on. And how many of you knew that that was your low area? Or was it a kind of a surprise? Or, I'll be raising hands. How many of you knew that that was your low area? Okay, so more than 50%. That's usually the case. And so often we know what to do. Isn't it the case that we know what to do, but it's hard to actually do it, and actually do something about it? So let's again look at who would be impacted, what they'd be thinking of us if we started giving attention to that area. So that's the second question. Who would be impacted if I were to take care of myself in all of these areas, but specifically my low area? So who and then how? How would they be impacted? Write down a specific answer, because if it's not specific, there's no reason to follow through with it. Okay, then this last question, this last step is the most important one. Because if we don't actually set up anything to take action on this, nothing is going to happen, just like it hasn't been. It's going to be a low area, and it's going to continue to be that way. And so your goal is to give attention to that low area. Now, an action step is how you're going to carry that out. So I want one brave volunteer to be open. And let's create an action step together. I actually want to go through what that looks like with one of you, so that the others can also benefit and see what an action step looks like. So who would be willing to? I know you said you're all friends, but again, this is the deep stuff. So stuff that people don't usually know we're struggling with because we keep it to ourselves. So is there anyone that'd be willing to do that? Okay. That's okay. Oh, I have to do myself. Okay.
I'll do it.
I was gonna say, yeah, do it.
I'll do it.
Okay, so what is the low area on your wheel?
Okay, so this is an area I used to be really good at, and I'm not so much anymore, and it's just home cooking. Like, meal prep for me is huge. So I'll go with that one. There's a couple other things that also, one of my other low ones was creativity. And for me, that just means, personally, it's just like the experiences, like actually taking some time out that's not in just my normal day-to-day life. So for instance, this afternoon, Tara and I are taking our kiddos to something, so something like that, like just doing something that is not just my normal day-to-day requirements, but just living, like doing different things. So those are my two top ones. Awesome.
So to pick between the two, if you gave attention to one of those areas, which one would have the biggest impact on the people around you and yourself?
Okay, so probably the creativity.
Creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so who would be impacted besides you?
I feel, well, most importantly, the two kiddos of mine, Molly and Dylan, would be probably most impacted, but also the people I work with every day, so, because I work with them more.
Yeah, everyone around you, okay. So how would they be impacted? Is it your kids specifically to start out?
I think just more, so it kind of ties in with just me taking the time out for like one-on-one time with them. And so it'd just be like more connection, and then I think because I would do it, because it's an area I stress about all the time, then I'll just be happier. Like, again, I feel more fulfilled, I feel like I'm doing something that always weighs me down, so it would start to just lift me up more, because I'm actually taking the time out to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. She even is seeing that if I give attention to my low area, it's going to influence the other areas of my wheel. The whole thing pumps up. It's like a regular pump. It just pumps up. So, and then also the coworkers. You know, how does that less stress and connection, more creativity outside of work? How does that influence relationships with coworkers?
Well, I think when you do one thing that just kind of gets you out of your normal wheelhouse, like I think I'd be thinking more creatively. To me, that just makes me happier overall. So I'm an easier person to be around. I think I would be happier, so I'm going to be doing things that produce more energy. And then again, like we talked about, like, and maybe influence other people to start doing the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we have a clear goal.
Yeah.
We know why we would do it and how people would be influenced, which is a good motivator. But still, nothing's going to happen unless we create action steps. So now let's create an action step that we got there.
Perfect.
So with the kids specifically, you said more one-on-one time. What does that look like?
So like finding things that are enjoyable for them. For me, that looks like just taking the time out of my day. Because I have the flexibility if I need it, but it's putting things on my calendar that are specific for them. That get them out of school, me out of work, whatever that might be. Like something where it's just like special time or whatever.
Okay. So would you be open to sitting down with them and having them write down just a long list of everything they love to do?
They're not quite there yet, but I kind of know what they like to do.
Okay. Yeah, and then add in things that you like to do too.
Yeah.
Or things that excite you. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, list is good.
When could you make that happen?
When? I could do that this Sunday.
Sunday. Awesome.
Yeah.
Morning, afternoon, evening?
Evening.
Sunday evening. Wonderful. And then is there anything you can commit to putting in your schedule for next week to spend that one-on-one time with your kids?
For sure. And that was actually what I wrote down as my action step, is just putting those things. So it's time with the kids, but it's also, you know, the little things I want to do throughout the week or that I feel, you know, would benefit me, like putting those things in my calendar.
What would be a couple examples of that? One or two?
Well, one of them is like today, this afternoon, like taking Dylan to the dinosaur exhibit that's here in town for the weekend, you know. So that's been in my calendar all week, and I almost let work get in the way, and then I'm not anymore. So I'm going to take him. It would be sticking to my workouts, like just those types of things that, you know, are good for me. And also time with friends.
Okay. Do you have anything set up for time with friends? It's just
I actually do.
You do?
Yeah.
Great.
Saturday night.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome action steps. Do you want to create one for coworkers? So how are you going to have more creativity in the workplace?
Yeah, so that's actually a good question for me. So one of the things that I want to do better with that is like set aside time in my calendar, even if it's 20 or 30 minutes a day, where I'm not just doing appointment after appointment after appointment, but actually like taking the time to like watch things that are work related that help everybody around me. So, you know, we're such a training company, but half the time I just go, and I don't take it in myself. So just slowing down and actually putting like, you know, education time or learning time into my day. So whether that's reading or whether it's watching a webinar or something that I can then go take and teach other people.
What time of the day usually it pops up to you as the best time for that?
I'd say probably in the middle of the day, around lunchtime, because I never leave for lunch. So just, I can kind of do it like right after lunch or something before the late afternoon hits. And
Okay. Is
yeah.
lunch always at the same time?
No. For the most part, yeah, it's pretty close.
Okay. So if you had lunch at the same time, when would that be? Like 1 o'clock?
Probably 12, yeah.
12 o'clock. 12 o'clock, 30 minutes for reading or educational videos.
Yep.
Every day?
Every day.
All right, every day. When when would you be willing to commit to making that happen and starting that?
I can probably start that Monday, or I will start that Monday, because I'm going to put it in my calendar.
Awesome.
Intend to start that.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing
Yeah,
this,
thank
Melissa.
you.
Thank you. So very specific. It's got to be in your schedule. It's got to be set. You got to know how you're going to make that happen right when you think of it. Otherwise, it's not going to. So did everyone kind of do that for themselves? I hope so.
Yeah.
Because if you knew that was your low area, now is the time to start bumping it up if you weren't already. Okay. So now that we have action steps, we know where we're putting our attention and our energy. We have a goal. We know why. Again, we have the little action steps. Do you think that it'll be easy to follow through? Sort of, yeah. It's still difficult. It's still difficult to follow through. Why? Why is that? You talk to people who aren't healthy, and they know why. They know what they have to do. People are going to all these programs for, nothing against, programs where there's shakes and bars and stuff like that, but people know what food is healthy for them. And going from one program to the next, from one gym to the next, isn't going to change anything. It's the motivation. It's the accountability. It's the follow-through. Why is the follow-through so hard? It's not the information. We have so much of that. And that's why I didn't want to be a coach anymore and a gym manager, because people just come in and out.
I think people just want fast and quick results, when it's the hard work that makes everything happen.
Sure. Yeah, fast and quick
Instant
results.
gratification.
They want to, exactly. I think people, this will help me, this will help me, this will help me. Changing that stuff is a lifestyle change, not just a now or a 1 year change.
Yeah.
It's a whole change in your lifestyle. And people exactly like, they want instant gratification. Well, if I do this for 1 week, well, I'll be healthy. But, eating one good meal isn't going to make you healthy, like eating one bad meal is going to make you unhealthy. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. You really get into it where you said instant gratification. It's what they want. If we truly wanted to be healthy, we'd make it happen. Because why do we keep eating all these unhealthy foods? Why do we not exercise consistently? Because it's not instant gratification. It's hard sometimes. But I also want to figure out why we want that so bad. Why don't we want to be healthy? Why don't we want to have a consistent lifestyle? Would you rather choose something with more positives or less positives? More positives, absolutely. Would you rather choose something with more negatives or less negatives? Less negatives. So if that's the case, then like you said, they want instant gratification. They want to not be healthy. They don't want the long-term, consistent lifestyle. It's true. We always get what we want. It's what we're telling ourselves, and I want to figure out where that's coming from. I have a specific example of someone I worked with. She's about 50 years old, and since she was 16, she hasn't loved herself. She can't even say it in the mirror. She doesn't like her body, and it's just as miserable, depressed, okay? This is common. And so she comes to me, and she has all these things she wants. She wants to lose weight. She wants to be there for her kids. She wants to cook healthier food. She wants to be more supportive of her husband. All great things, but she can't make it happen. So I'm like, okay, I'll work with you. And so I give her the action steps. We're building action steps. We have goals, reasons why, all these awesome reasons why, and action steps that she's supposed to do throughout the week. And so we meet again once a week, and she sort of follows through with them, sort of does what she needs to do. And this trend continues, and we're like, okay, there's something else going on here. I gotta dig deeper, because our motivation, our reasons are great. They're there, but she doesn't want it. She's not committing to it. Why is that? Because every time we try to move forward, we hit a brick wall. What is that brick wall? That brick wall is a belief. Our beliefs form our actions and behaviors, and our actions and behaviors form our results. Okay? So she believes that she can't do it. She believes it's impossible. That's part of it. But the other part, I had to figure out. So I asked her to, like, what's going on? Why is it so hard to commit? What would be so bad for following through this way? So I find out that 5 years ago, she does one of these programs, like Profile or whatever. She does shakes, protein bars, and she's losing weight. She's feeling great. She's being consistent. She's making it happen. And then, wow, her dad dies. She's instantly depressed, goes back to her comfort zone, goes back to the food, goes back to the comfort of her routine, because shakes and bars aren't a routine that you can do for your whole life. So she goes back, and then 2 years go by, and she tries another program, and it's working. She's doing the shakes, the bars, the exercise, she's losing weight, she's being consistent, and then pop, her mom gets cancer. And now she has to take care of her mom. That's hard. So she gains all the weight back, goes back to her comfort zone. And now she's building up this belief, right alongside the belief that she can't have it because she hasn't had it since she was 16, so there's no way she can do it now. So why would she put energy in? And then another wall is built up right next to it where she's saying something bad is going to happen if I lose weight. If I start caring about myself, someone else suffers. So that reason was way bigger, that negative was way bigger than the positives of feeling healthier and providing for her kids better and losing weight. Okay? So the only way to move past that, because you can't go around, it's like the Great Wall of China, you can't go above, there's 30 feet tall and barbed wire. You have to break it down. You have to break it down, build it back up with a gate in between. You have to change it. How do we change it? I'm just going to give you a couple ways to make this happen because it's difficult to change a belief. First method is to step back. People will tell you that the first step to getting something done is forward. I'm going to say the opposite. It's not. If you want to move forward in your life, the first step isn't forward, it's backwards. Because if you step backwards, then you step out of that belief. You become aware of what you're doing, how you're thinking, where that's coming from, who's around you, what's the situation, what I'd like to be experiencing. And then from that position, that third-person perspective, I can make a different choice. Because when you have a belief, you're already set. This is your belief. You already have a path, and that's the only one you see, so the only way you can go is that way. So the only way is to step back out of that and to see it from a third-person perspective. Take the emotion, take the judgment, take your past out of it, and create a new path. That's when you can see a new path. This is the biggest one to moving forward, is to step back first. Analyze, think about it. Step out of your emotions, step out of your past. This one's kind of unique. This one forces you to shift your mindset, to have a different perspective on things. It's called the both and more method. I'll explain it with some examples. When you catch yourself saying an either or statement, you have to shift it. So this is hers. I can either get healthy and something bad will happen, something very bad will happen, or I can stay put and nothing bad will happen. And I'll be comfortable. That's her belief. If it's an either or, it's 100%. Like, there's no reason to do anything about it. So asking her to change the words opens her mind up to a new possibility. And when you open your mind up to a new possibility, you ask yourself a question, your brain has to try to find an answer. That's naturally how our brain works. So using those words, it became, I can both get healthy, take care of my family, lose weight, love myself, and if something bad happens, I will be more capable of handling it. I'll be more capable of taking care of my mother who has cancer, taking care of my kids who are grieving for their dad. That sounds like a good reason. This is a simpler one. Some people still have this belief. I can either eat healthy food and not enjoy life and good tasting food. Or I can eat unhealthier, fast fried, ice cream, foods that I love, and enjoy my life. It's not true. We have so many food options in America. I can both eat healthy food and it can taste great, and I will have more energy and joy. I'll have more joy from eating the healthy foods that I can make taste great. Yeah. And a third one. I can either prioritize and take care of myself, and this is the point I'm making today. I can either prioritize and take care of myself, or I can take care of others. A lot of people think this way. Change it to, I can both take care of myself, and as we found out by giving examples from your own examples, and take care of others even better, even more than before. You're in a better position when you are focusing on yourself, prioritizing yourself, have the health and energy to take care of others in a way you haven't been able to before. everyone that knew I was giving a talk like this, I gave previously too. They're like, "Oh, are you gonna do that mask that comes down from the airplane?" Like, I love that. I'm like, yeah, I already put that in there, but I couldn't find a good picture for that, so I used this one instead because I like this example better. You have to put your mask on before someone else's. Or like in the Bible, you have to take the plank out of your own eye before you can take this splinter out of someone else's eye. Same kind of example. Now imagine, just for fun, if you were a firefighter, you didn't have your mask on, you ran into the building and tried to help someone, are you being helpful or not helpful to them? Are you doing the best at your job? No, because you're going to pass out, and then the next firefighter has to lift out 2 people, one of them who's wearing all the gear, and he's like 300 pounds. And then he's at danger. If you put your mask on, you're saving the kid. And then this is also a cool picture. When we have our beliefs written, we pretend that we already know the second half of our life, the second half of our story. But imagine this as your life, and you're right here. All of these are blank. You can do whatever you want with them. We have the freedom of choice. When we step back, we can make new decisions, make new paths, do whatever we want. We really can. It's blank. And so don't write it before it happens. One of the things that my wife just talked about this morning with me, she has not a fear. She said, I'm not afraid of dying because we have very strong faith. We know where we're going. But I'm afraid of not living a full life. You know, and the reason this has been on our mind is because a family friend just died, and he was 20 years old. And it just happened like that. It was an accident. You know? So don't have that routine. Don't have that regular routine. Don't write your story before it happens with beliefs. Be creative. Write and draw and whatever you want. Scribble in the sides. It's yours. So, just to recap, why don't let other people's thoughts and feelings motivate you into action? Because they really will love you more and be happier if you're taking care of yourself. You'll have deeper connection. Focus on your low area, not mine. Don't worry about Rachel or any of the examples I gave. Focus on your low area right in front of you to feel fulfilled. Start growing in those areas. Health is a lifelong journey. That thing's always going to change, but you can always bump it out. Write some action steps. Step back out of your beliefs, out of your past, out of what other people might be thinking. You know, we think that they're thinking that we shouldn't do that. Step back out of that. Make your own choices. Change your mindset. Change the wording. Ask yourself new questions. Why not? Why not more? Take back the power of your choice. Write your own story. It's blank. Okay? Last 2 pieces that make this even possible and really a lot easier to follow through is support and accountability. So ask yourself, who can be a support to me? Who can I be accountable to? And if you look at that third sheet, that's a way for me to be accountable to you if you'd like. Even just writing down the action step that you're going to do and showing someone, telling someone what your action step is, holds you to that. You don't have to write that down if you don't want to. I know it's hard to give examples, so thank you, Melissa, for doing that. But if you want accountability, writing it down is going to get you that. Like, I just told someone I was going to do this, I better do it. Let me pull that out. And then what was your biggest takeaway? So really connect to what you can take away from this. Because again, it's not in one ear, out the other ear. You got to actually take this stuff, make it applicable. Start living your life, start writing your own story. There's 2 check boxes as well. The first one is for a free strategy session with me. I do it for everyone. It's 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, however long you need. Or we just get on a phone call and we talk about exactly where you are right now. I'll ask you questions. And then where you'd like to be. And then make an action plan for how to get there. So if you'd like to do that, definitely check that. And then last one, the second checkbox is for 5 more of those wheel exercises, but they're specifically based in the 5 big areas of your life. And you can do those every month. You can do those every week if you wanted to. But finances, career, relationships, connection to God, and health. And then specific things in those areas. Very useful. So, fill it out, rip it off, leave it there for me. I can hold you accountable. I'd love to do that. It helps so much. And just a few follow-up points. In this picture, here's a dad with a son. It's really easy to love and appreciate other people and to put all of their needs ahead of your own. And we do that with our kids all the time. We do that with our spouse. We do that with our friends. Sometimes it's so we don't have to focus on ourselves. But how hard is it to focus on yourself? Look at yourself and say, I love you, and so I'm going to do this, and I'm going to take care of you. I don't necessarily have to make you guys do it, but the last time I did this, I had a big room of a lot of women, a lot of nurses, and I asked them to say out loud to everyone around them, I love myself and I appreciate myself. And I ask people to do this because it's very difficult for a lot of people. Even if they're able to say it, they might not mean it. It might be really hard to say it and actually mean it. So I won't make you do it, but try it one time. Look in the mirror, say, I love you. And for some people, that's very, very difficult. You got to be appreciated. Now I'm going to make you say it anyway.
Okay, we usually participate.
Good. So, I love myself, or I love and appreciate myself. You can say whatever you want.
I love and appreciate myself.
And now action step, do it at home, look yourself in the eyes, and say the same thing, and say it until you mean it. Maybe it'll take one time, maybe it'll take 15 times. Well, I'm going to close with the second half of Erica's testimonial, her story, her joy from what happened. This is her at Disney. She says, I started this journey because I wanted to survive Disney. I wanted to be able to fit on the plane again without the seatbelt extender. However, somewhere along the journey, things changed. My relationship with food has changed. I don't see food as a comfort or a means for emotional comfort. It truly is fuel. I stopped craving crappy food and started to crave healthy food, which is possible. I gave myself 3 months to make this happen. I thought I was going to fail. I believed I was going to fail, but I lost 50 pounds in 2 months and decided that maybe I was worth it. Started to shift. It hasn't been easy, like you said. There have been rough days, days I was sore and wanted to be like everyone else and eat whatever I wanted, and days where I just didn't think I could stomach another bite of a vegetable. But when I compare my before pictures to my current pictures, I realize that I am worth it. I deserve to be healthier, happier, and an overall better person. Taking back control of my weight has become so much more than a number on a scale, more than the size of my clothes or the inches I have lost. It was about getting my life back. My first aha moment was when the seatbelt clicked in September. I teared up after they shut the lights off. Most importantly, I survived Disney. I conquered Disney. I rode every ride I wanted to with room to spare and the safety bars. I walked miles a day without pain. I went to both of my gyms on vacation without hesitation or second thought. And I was more present, joyful, and excited to make such amazing memories with my family. So you can be that dad. Loving yourself is only going to make you love that kid that much more. And that's what she found out. She did it for herself, but she gained her life back, and then it kept rolling over into everyone else in her life. That's why it's important. You're taking care of them, trust me. So I want you to picture it in your life. For her, she did it because she wanted to go to Disney with her family and be with them. And also lose the weight and feel healthy, energetic, and then be able to say I love you to herself and actually mean it, not hide it. So I want one more example, last thing I'll do with you, one more example of what that looks like to you. If your wheel, imagine your wheel was totally pumped up, blew up to the outside, and you were healthy, energetic, you felt amazing, you were taking care of yourself and your family in a way you hadn't been able to before, what does that look like? What do you kind of imagine in that point of your life? For me, I'll give an example. For me, so now I do coach, I do coach men and women, but starting to focus more on Christian men. That's something I'm passionate about. And so I want a community of men of faith. And so if I could create this community where we're outside doing an exercise, doing a devotion, and actually talking and speaking and having deep conversation, because it's very difficult for guys, There's not a lot of people or coaches that do that type of work. That's what I imagine. And it's wonderful. It's a community. And then they're having deeper relationships and communication and connection with their wives. And that's also what I imagine. Because I don't like divorce. I don't think anyone likes divorce. And I want to do something about it. And this is the way I think I can help with that. So what do you picture? Just one example. Have some dreams.
It's harder than...
I do usually let people, yeah, it is hard, just to like, in this environment. It helps to definitely like slow down your breath, close your eyes, put yourself there, imagine it.
I'd say that be able to have the financial freedom to be able to go coach, teach, and speak to impact other lives and not worry about the money thing.
Okay. What do one of those talks look like? Like, what's the environment or the energy? Who are you with?
Probably a whole bunch of real estate agents.
Okay. Talking to real estate agents. What are you talking to them about?
Whatever they want to hear. Whatever they want to talk about.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I'm just helping other people build their businesses and achieve financial freedom as well.
Okay.
Wherever they're at to wherever they want to be as well.
And what are they specifically thanking you for? 3 months down the road, they're giving you a call like, hey, I have financial freedom, so now I'm finally able to do this or this or this. Like what?
The action steps to get there
Mm-hmm.
that they need to take in their real estate business.
Okay. And why are you a real estate agent as well?
Yeah.
So why would you want to have a successful business?
Because I rewrote my mission statement to impact the world, to change one life at a time through coaching, teaching, and speaking.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're impacting their lives because one, they're making more money, but they're making more money having a good business so that they can, and then it's specific to you for sure. Yours is to impact people. For them, it's to take care of their family. For someone else, it's to go to Disney or Europe. For someone, it's to have 2 more kids.
Ultimately, yeah, that's what they get to do is achieve whatever their big why is by to achieve their goals. They have to be successful.
Exactly. And that's where you're feeling a lot of the fulfillment. Probably they're giving you calls like, you changed my life.
Right.
Cool. That's a cool picture. It's cool to imagine. Thank you for sharing. Now go for it. You have action steps. Support and accountability is there if you want it. But that's what I got for you today. Thank you for listening.
And follow him on Facebook because he does awesome videos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good
some-
stuff.
Which,
That beat
I
your
wonder
sugar
if,
addiction.
yeah, is that link that Amy put on, the underground might have a link to his Facebook page, but if not, he's easy to find if you just search him.
Yeah. Yeah, Amos Bilo, just find me on Facebook. I do have a business page, but it's the same thing as my personal page. So.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thanks, sir. We leave these with you, my man?
These are just good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I don't know you either.
I'm Allie.
Allie, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. Yeah, of course. That was so worth the time for us. Thank you.
I didn't actually.
All right.
I mean, yes, but. Lance. His name is so we need.
Thanks, sir.
We need some of that.
How many money go?